India's agriculture, for long, has provided a wide variety of foods from a large diversity of crops. In modern times, this diversity on Indian food plate has decreased. Now, three major cereal crops, wheat, rice and maize, contribute to 70% of calorie and major share of protein in Indian diet. This change has happened due to policy-driven promotion of crops in research, development, production and trade. This process over time had pushed many crops into neglect and virtual obscurity or loss. They are being called as either neglected and underutilized, often forgotten or lost crops. Such expedient agricultural policies were crafted to meet the urgent need to feed burgeoning population and to mitigate hunger and malnutrition. However, hunger and malnutrition remain unabated. It is more rampant in India's semi-arid, hilly and mountainous regions, where the local food and nutritional security had largely been served by some of the neglected crops. Discrimination of these crops had also been causing rapid loss of their genetic resources as well as the traditional knowledge and culture associated with their conservation, cultivation and consumption. A project was therefore developed by Bioversity International Rome together with MS Swaminathan Research Foundation or the MSSRF, Chennai, to promote neglected crops for strengthening local food security, increasing income from these crops by enhancing productivity and building value chain, promoting conservation of their genetic diversity and associated traditional knowledge and cultural identity. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, in Rome, supported this project and its implementation in few locations in India, Yemen, Peru and Bolivia. In India, the project was implemented and coordinated by the MSSRF. Other Indian partners were the Universities of Agricultural Sciences or UAS, Dharwad and Bengaluru, and the Hill campus of the GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology or the GBPU-80, Rani Chauri in Uttarakhand. The Central Food Technology Research Institute or the CFTRI, Mysore, extended certain technical help. The 5 neglected and underutilized crop species NUS chosen for the study were 4 small millets and grain amaranth. These millets were finger millet, little millet, Italian millet and the barnyard millet. Recognizing the superior nutritional composition of these millets, Professor Swaminathan had suggested to call them as nutritious millets. The important components of this study were understanding of local culture, traditional knowledge and practices associated with cultivation, conservation, consumption and marketing of these crops, conservation and enhancement of locally available genetic diversity through a network of village gene seed grain banks managed by women self-help groups or SHGs, strengthening food, nutrition and income security through multiple farmer participatory approaches such as seed selection from local and new varieties and farmer-led production of quality seed and its sharing through the village gene seed grain banks, introduction of improved crop production practices integrated with traditional wisdom, technology interventions to remove drudgery of farm women in production and processing, organizing women and men farmers under SHGs and farmers clubs or FCs and building their capacity in methods improving crop productivity, women-centric value chain development and overall human and social capital, and influencing policy makers for revitalizing the local role of NUS in food and nutritional security and their strategic importance in an era of climate change. The project activities were located in 23 villages in 4 states with diverse agro-ecological and cultural backdrops. 5 villages were from Koli Hills in Tamil Nadu and 6 from Kundara in Odisha, both locations managed by the MSSRF. 3 South Karnataka villages from the BR Hills in Chamarajnagar district and Chintamani in Chikkabellapura district. These were managed by the UAS, Bengaluru. 3 villages from northern Karnataka comprising from Haveri and 1 from Bellary districts. These were managed by the UAS, Dharwad. 6 other villages were from Tehri Garhwal district of Uttarakhand, managed by the hill campus of the GBPU-80. Millet cultivation in the Koli Hills is many hundred years old. However, since the last 40 years, a major area from millet is taken over by tapioca, an industrial cash crop promoted by the local starch industry through a kind of contract farming. While millets occupied the land for about 5 months, tapioca is a 10-month crop offering higher income with less hassle. Moreover, food grains are readily available at very cheap price in the local public distribution system. Hence, the need for more income had forced the small farmers who subsist on a 0.2 to 0.8 hectare land to switch over to tapioca. However, a few farmers still retain millet cultivation in a small part of their land. This is helping in the conservation of about 21 land races of 5 millets evolved here over years. Under this agroeconomic policy regime, it was not easy to revitalize millet cultivation in the Koli Hills, despite the region's long history of millet cultivation. However, women farmers still value these crops as important food grains. Therefore, needs of farmers for cash income from tapioca and food grains from millets were converged by an innovative approach. Early maturing high-yielding finger millet variety was introduced as an intercrop with tapioca to achieve both grain production and cash income from the same piece of land.
களை எடுக்கிறதுக்கு எங்களுக்கு சிரமம் இல்லை, வெட்டுறதுக்கு களை பறிக்கிறதுக்கு பிரச்சனை இல்லை. அப்போ இப்போ 4 மாதத்துலேயே 3 மாதத்துலேயே இந்த கேவுரு வந்துடுது எங்களுக்கு சாப்பாட்டுக்கு. அப்புறம் 10 மாதம் கடத்தி இந்த குச்சி கிழங்கு வந்து எங்களுக்கு காசுக்கு வந்து செலவுக்கு உதவிடுது.
இதனால் இந்த சாலை போகிறதுனால வேலையும் மிச்சமாக இருக்குது, வேலை செய்கிறதுக்கும் கொஞ்சம் இது தரல. அந்த இதை அப்படி கைத்தல் பண்ண தெளித்தா அது அதிகமாக வேலை இழுக்குது.
குச்சிக்காட்டில் வந்து வருஷம் முறை இப்போ பயிரிடுறதுனால எங்களுக்கு வந்து அதில் வந்து கேவுருக்கு ராகி மாவு கிடச்சிருது, அதில் வந்து பணத்துக்கு பணமும் காசு கிடச்சிருது.
The status of nutritious millet cultivation in different project locations was different. For example, finger millet is the predominant rain-fed crop in the villages in Kundra in Koraput. It is also grown as a mixed crop with little millet, black gram and pigeon pea. Over 80% of the tribal farmers in these villages are smallholders and extremely poor. Koraput is a notorious hunger spot in India. No new agricultural technology had visited the farmers here. Their marginal farming with 14 in finger and little millets land races hardly provided 500 to 600 kg yield per hectare. Their traditional farming practice has only 2 events: broadcast sowing using high seed rate and harvesting. No soil nutrient is applied. The crop either fails or gives very low yield. The project, through participatory crop management practices, influenced in increasing productivity. Farmers were taught on application of soil nutrients, seed selection and use of quality seed. They were also influenced to change to row planting from broadcast sowing, follow improved intercrop system and use mechanical tools for intercultivation. The yield increase achieved was up to 60%. The Biligiri Ranga Hills or BR Hills are situated in the Chamarajnagar district of southeastern Karnataka, a meeting point of the western and eastern Ghats. The region has very rich flora and fauna. For ages, the region has been the home of the semi-nomadic Solika tribe. They were recently brought to settled farming from the traditionally practiced shifting cultivation. Each family has about a hectare of land. Finger millet is the main food crop grown. Poverty is rampant here due to the low yield from marginally managed millet crop. Farmer participatory approaches on seed selection and improved production practices resulted in yield increase up to 50% in 3 seasons. Now, they harvest 950 kilograms per hectare from finger millet, which has brought improved food security to these people.
ನೀವು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ರಾಗಿಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಈಗ ಉಪ್ಪು ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆದ್ದೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮುಂದೆ ಕೀಳಾಯ್ತಿತ್ತು ಈಗ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ.
Another good example of neglect of these millets in R&D is the absence of appropriate technology for processing these grains, while women face high drudgery with traditional grain threshing and processing practices. Threshing is done by beating the panicle or trampling by animals. The grain is then manually cleaned to remove husk and glooms. Finger millet is consumed after grinding the grain to flour in manually operated stone grinders. Other millets with hard seed coat requires tedious and long dehulling with mortar and pestle. High drudgery faced by women in processing these grains is another major reason for its decreased cultivation and consumption, while the government is providing easy access to rice and wheat at cheap prices. The changing rural family structure and the multiple roles that the farm women have to perform also have encouraged her to go for grains requiring no drudgery in processing. Therefore, easy access to simple mechanical grain processing assumed importance in the revival of these food crops. The project intervention in the innovation and introduction of such grain processing machines immensely contributed to the revival of interest of women in these millets, to improved household nutrition and opening new opportunity to build value chain on these grains. The project provided 7 mechanical destoners and 12 grain mills to as many women SHGs. They were also trained in operating and maintaining these machines. This facility liberated women from their drudgery in processing nutritious millets, promoted their increased consumption and production. The mechanical processing also encouraged women to join the project initiatives on village-based value addition, product making and marketing to enhance their income and employment. Developing mechanical device for processing hard seed-coated millets was challenging. A prototype huller developed by the CFTRI for the project was not successful. Another effort made by the project in collaboration with Messrs. Vijaya Industries, a private entrepreneur in Haveri, led to a better prototype hulling machinery. This, however, requires further refinement before its transfer to villages. The value addition initiative, apart from the availability of processing machinery, also required empowerment and skill development of women in value chain processes. Selected members of women SHGs were given residential training on value addition and novel product development at the rural home science colleges of the UAS, Bangalore and Dharwad. On return from this comprehensive training, these women trained more of their SHG colleagues in their villages. A cadre of such trained and motivated women constituted the core group for taking up commercial activity on identified value-added products of nutritious millets. They were further trained on food product hygiene, its quality standards, packaging, labeling, marketing and brand building. Today, there are a number of SHGs in the project villages which regularly produce and commercialize different value-added products of nutritious millet and grain amaranth and earning better income. Bhagya Lakshmi, who is leading a SHG in Chintamani, speaks her story of success with finger millet.
ರಾಗಿಯಿಂದ ತಯಾರಾಗೋ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳನ್ನ ಹಲವಾರು ಹೇಳಿಕೊಟ್ರು, ಆದರೆ ನಾವು ರಾಗಿ ಮಾಲ್ಟು ಮತ್ತು ಹುರಿಟನ್ನು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದು ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ವಾರಕ್ಕೆ 10 kg ರಾಗಿ ಮಾಲ್ಟು ಮತ್ತು ಹುರಿಟು ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀವಿ. 600 ರಿಂದ 800 ರೂಪಾಯಿವರೆಗೂ ಲಾಭ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಶಾದಾಯಕವಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
Finger millet malt and other value-added millet grain products are regularly produced and marketed by SHGs in Koli Hills. A confederation of SHGs established here has opened a sales outlet at Samedu. Their branded products are common in many departmental stores of the region. Take the case of Yellamma from Jekkankatti. She is a member of the local SHG that got trained in millet value addition. She runs a small food and commodity retail shop. She started making and selling millet value-added products like paddu and chakli. On every Monday, she supplies paddu to customers. She also takes orders for bulk supply of chakli. This has substantially added to her income.
ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ 6 ಗಂಟೆಲಿಂದ ಚಲೋ ರೀ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ 2 ಗಂಟೆಲಿಂದ ಒಂದು ತಾಸು ಕದ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ರೀ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ 3 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ತೆಗೆದು 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಕದ ಹಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ರೀ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿಂದ ₹100 ಲಾಭ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಅದರಾಗ ಚಕ್ಲಿ ಪಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡಿದ ದಿನ ವಾರಕ್ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ರೀ. ಮಾಡಿದ ದಿನ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ₹100 ಲಾಭ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ.
The nutritious millets are known for their low glycemic index and higher antioxidant content. These nutraceutical properties are generating new markets in prescription food for diabetes and as health foods. This project has been promoting diabetes food developed from the millet by the SAU Dharwad. These value chains on nutritious millets and grain amaranth have created substantial additional income for the SHGs. This is far higher than the income possible from the sale of the primary produce. For example, finger millet or ragi malt marketed by the SHGs in the Koli Hills, Kundra and the Chintamani villages offers a net income of about 19,500 rupees on every ton. This is 4 folds higher than the income possible from the sale of grain. Moreover, the income from value-added products goes to the women. Overall, the project strengthened and institutionalized the conservation of local genetic resources of neglected crops involving village gene seed grain banks and SHGs, built capacity of farmers on quality seed production and supply, and increased millet and grain amaranth productivity by 22 to 63%. Increased production strengthened the local food and nutritional security. On monetization, the increased yield added 3,600 to 8,800 rupees to the per hectare income. Increased production and creation of village processing units have promoted increased household consumption of these grains, leading to better nutritional benefits to the farm families. Overriding the food, nutritional and income benefits, the new learning experience gained from capacity building and the process of commercialization of value-added products imparted huge confidence, increased social status and self-esteem to these farm women. This change is bringing out leaders in local women-related affairs and entrepreneurship. Therefore, promotion of cultivation, consumption and commercialization of these neglected and underutilized crops strengthen the cultural identity of local communities together with improved food and nutritional security, income generation and enhanced social status to women. This also made commendable contribution to the conservation of genetic resources and enlarging the regional food diversity. This has helped in influencing national policies and mainstreaming these crops in national agenda. These promotional efforts have potential benefits to the global community in addressing hidden hunger and deploying the climate resilience traits of these crops.
One of the very important and favorable outcome of the current concern of developing climate resilient farming systems in the context of global warming and climate change is the revival of interest in vanishing crops and vanishing wisdom. Among the crops which are now exceedingly important, both from the point of view of nutrition security and climate resilience, are the whole group of millets. And so I hope hereafter our food basket will get much widened, and even in the proposed National Food Security Act of the Government of India, not only wheat and rice has been included, but especially millets have been included, and this should further help to revive the cultivation of these crops.